One final aspect we haven't looked at yet is our login form. So let's go ahead and go to the Pages folder in our site folder and open up login.php. This page is responsible for both logging in the user and storing their information in the session, and then logging them out and getting rid of that session. Now this is also code you've seen before, so we're not going to go into too much detail here, but we first set the title of the page as our title variable. Remember that in our other pages, we set the title variable and the content variable. Our content variable is set down here, but it needs to be dynamic because we're using this page to display both the content when the user is logged in and the content when the user is logged out. So our first step is to check to see if we need to process the login form. The first time this page is loaded, we don't have any action in the request variable, so we skip all of this. And next we see if there's a user variable in the session array, which there isn't, so we jump to this other statement, the else statement, where we build the content for the login form. We set the title, and then we build our form with a username, password, an input for the submit button, and a hidden input that includes the action login. So when the user submits this form, this page is reloaded, and we go back up to the top and we check to see if there's an action. This time there is, and it's login. So we use this switch statement to check to see what the action is and respond differently depending on if we're logging in or logging out. So we skip this logout case and we run this login case. We need to make sure that a user exists with the username and password that were submitted. So we run this MySQL query. We make sure to run our content through MySQL real escape string, just in case any quotes were passed in as part of the username or password. And if we get a result back, that means someone exists, and this is a valid login. So we grab the row from the results that we got back, and in this next part, what we're doing is removing the password from the row, and then we're setting the user variable in the session array to that row. Now we could just pass something else, the user ID or the username, but what we want to do is maybe set this up similar to the way Drupal has it set up, where we can use this user variable to store various settings for the user or dynamically add content to it as the user goes through their session. Finally, we use the notice function that we've created to add a notice that says you have been logged in. If we had supplied the wrong username and password, we would see this, either the username or password was incorrect. Then we break, and in this next step, we check to see if there's a session user. There is this time, so this is where we build the you are logged in, enjoy content. Now the last thing that we do on this page is we log out. And the way we trigger the logout, if we jump back to the browser and we hover over the logout link, we see in the lower left-hand corner that this passes us to login.php, and then we have the beginning of a query, action equals logout. So when we click this, we'll go back to the login form page, but this time what it will do is process our logout. So if we go back to the editor here, now we have an action variable that is logout, so we switch based on that. And because it's logout, we run this code right here. We destroy the current session to reset it completely, and then we start the session fresh. This is because our code might rely on the idea that there is a session existing already, and we don't want to throw any errors, and we want to be able to be compatible for that. Right now, it doesn't matter because our code is very simple, but in the future it might. And then finally we add a notice that says you've been logged out.